Hey Geometry! In this video we're going to go over the equation of a circle, how we find the center and radius given the equation of a circle, and how we write the equation of a circle given the center and the radius. So to start, we're going to go over the definition of a circle. It is a round two-dimensional figure such that every point on the circle is equidistant from a point, and that point specifically is the center of the circle. So what that means, anywhere along the outside of the circle, wherever I am, that point will always be equal in distance away from the center. That's what it means to be a circle. We have an equation of a circle. This equation is on the SOL formula sheet, so you don't need to memorize it, but you do need to know what the parts mean. The two most important parts, we have the center and the radius. Center is the coordinate point h, k. So as we see here in this example, if I were to go to the right h and up k, that would be the center of my circle. I have the h and the k in my standard equation. So here, this is the standard equation. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. To find the radius, you take the square root of r squared, because we want just r, we don't want r squared. So to get rid of the square root. Standard equation has subtract and subtract within the parentheses. So we want to look at our examples and see which ones match up with this standard equation. So I'm going to look down here. I'm going to start with number 2, because number 2 matches exactly with how our standard equation is formed. So x minus h, x minus a number. Here we have x minus that number, so 2. Squared plus y minus k squared, y minus a number squared, y minus that's 7. So our center is h comma k, 2 comma 7. And the big question is, why is it not negative 2? Because it's a minus 2 here and a minus 7 here, right? The reason it's not is because it's matching up with that standard equation. It's already in the form x minus a number, x minus a number. So the center is just the values, just the 2 and just the 7. Our radius, we have r squared here is the ending value. R squared is 49. To just find r, you take the square root of 49, and the square root of 49 is 7. Moving on to number 3, and then we'll jump back to number 1. Number 3 to number 2, but the difference with number 3 now is that instead of x minus a number, we have x plus a number. So no longer does this match the standard equation. What we can do is we can rewrite this, and this is not something that you'll do every single time. This is just explaining where the value is coming from. To rewrite this in the standard equation of x minus a number, I'm actually subtracting negative 1 here. X minus negative 1 is x plus 1. Same thing here, y minus negative 6 is y plus 6. So what I have for my center, my value is negative 1 comma negative 6. So we have to think counterintuitively. When we see a subtraction in our equation, our center is going to have positive values. When we see a plus in our equation, we have to think about negative values. So really, we are subtracting a negative value to get that positive. You don't need to write this step in. We just need to be able to identify that it's going to be the opposite sign. So if you're adding here, it's going to be a negative value. Adding, negative value. The radius is still the same. So we have the square root of 16, which is 4. Number 1 is different from the other two now in that we don't have any value that we're adding or subtracting. Well, if we're subtracting nothing, I can rewrite this as x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared, because if I'm not subtracting anything, well, aren't I subtracting nothing? Nothing would be 0. So what I end up seeing is my center is 0 comma 0. 0 comma 0 is the origin. And then the radius 6 is 6. Going backwards now, writing the equation given the center and the radius. Looking at number 7 down here, the center is 0, 0. So I know that I have x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared equals 7 squared. All that I've done here, this is my h comma k, this is my r, I've taken these three values and I've plugged them in exactly as they are into the standard equation. We can write this more simply. X minus 0 squared is just x squared, y minus 0 squared is just y squared, and 7 squared is 49. Looking at number 8 now, we'll do this one here. Again, this is my h, and this is my k, this is my r. Plug them in exactly as they are into the standard equation. X minus h squared, so x minus 4 squared, plus y minus k squared, so y minus 3 squared, equals 8 squared, which we know is 64. Let's look at number 11. Number 11 has negative values for the center. So as we plug these in, h and k, we're going to have x minus negative 2 squared plus y minus negative 5 squared equals the square root of 2 squared. To write this more simply, x minus negative 2 is the same as x plus 2. Y minus negative 5 is the same as y plus 5. The square root of 2 squared, the square root and the squared cancel each other out, and we're just left with 2.